If you could have a card, and any card, would you have a blood card or a regular 52 card in your deck? Well, this game, you probably want the blood card because it'll be far more useful against the monsters you fight in this game. It's a roguelike meets deck builder, which is really interesting. I've never personally tried like a roguelike deck builder. I'm not really big on these games, just to put that out there. Like, I don't really like the deck building games. I just find a lot of them, they're a little bit monotonous. But this one, actually, like, it's got a golden age classic adventure game look. It's 16-bit, like 2D look to the characters and the backgrounds. So I thought that was interesting. It kind of looks like what if you had like a Dark Golden Axe deck building game. And it reminds me of other games like Dark Deception, and there was that other game that we played a while ago, Nick and I. It was a roguelike, but no cards or deck building, and you gradually go crazy in that game. But in this game, it's more about you're trying to defeat death and avoid death. And there are two main characters. It looks like a warrior and a cleric. So the various cards, they do, like, there's so many things that they do, like they increase your block rate, your attack rate, but then like some of the cards destroy themselves if you use their secondary function. So it's actually pretty fun. At first it seems really hard, but as your character gets stronger and you get better cards, it doesn't seem that bad. It actually gets a lot easier. So some cards, they let you search your deck, and then like it destroys like all of a certain deck card type, so like all of your like attacks or blocks or whatever. So it's sort of interesting. Yet these cool card designs, they actually involve a lot of strategy. The game's fairly well balanced. It feels like the right amount of challenging. Not too easy for someone that's just starting. Like, this is my first deck builder. There were, I think someone said Slay the Spire, like this reminded them of that, and like that was really popular. But they said, don't bother with this, go with Slay the Spire. I would say, you know what, I liked the design of this. Like, I really liked the sort of grungy dungeons, and it's a dark design to the game for sure. There's 3 zones. I was surprised by this because like you can only choose so many dungeons, and then you have to go to like these special events where the characters are your enemies are usually harder, so they could be like, I think there was an octopus and like a goblin, and there's like lots of little minion trolls. I finished one path and I pretty much felt like I'd played enough. It was after 40 minutes. So yeah, the story seems to be about escaping or defeating death. He appears usually after 2 matches, and he attacks you and the enemies in the dungeon. Now, this can make it really easy, because if you drain the enemies on the screen enough of their health, then death will arrive, and like the match before, it tells you that death is coming. So death just comes along with his 1,000 hit points, and you can damage death. That's, I guess, the ultimate goal is to defeat death in the battle. So I think I managed to get like 1,000 hit points off of him over the course of like 30 minutes. So it's not a super long game. You could probably finish in 2 hours, but it was pretty fun. I think it was like $10 to $15. I think I got it for like 5 or 10, I don't remember, which is pretty fair. But that's the problem, like death can really be on your side. It's an interesting gimmick, but he could definitely like slay all the enemies if you whittle them down, their health down. But at first, when you first start, like the game seems really challenging, but once you gain more experience after maybe 10 or 20 fights, your character gets a lot stronger. So yeah, the randomly generated cards, rewards. After each battle you get some random cards. There's some really interesting ones, like discard your hand and go through your deck and like collect all the healing cards. Just like interesting things that sort of keep the game fresh. And then there's like a shopkeep as well, but I think I bought like 2 cards from them, but most of the cards you see in there you pretty much encounter anyways, so except for like the one or two fairly rare cards, which are overpowered, but they usually destroy themselves if you use them because they're so powerful. But yeah, your life equals to the number of cards in your draw pile, so there isn't like you could just stay in one battle forever and keep attacking death and ignore the enemies in the battle. Like if you run out of cards, you die, which is a really cool gimmick, and I don't think, as far as I know, any other deck builders have done that gimmick. It actually does add another element to the strategy. Like, you can't just stay in battle forever. You have to make sure you use your attack cards. I remember I think right at the very end, I'd run out of attack cards, so I could only block, so I just automatically lost. And like, once you die, you can't continue, so that element of strategy is very important. So yeah, I really enjoyed the mechanics. Again, as I said, it gets easy. Yeah, so it goes for 17 actually, and you know, it's quite a good deal. I'm not a big fan of the genre, but I thought this was entertaining. Like, this would actually convince me to play like other deck building roguelikes. I'm not sure if I'd just play like a straight deck builder, but I would give this probably an 8 out of 10. It won't last very long, but if you can get $5 or $10, it's definitely worth it. And yeah, it's interesting. It plays very differently than any of the other games I've played on Steam so far to date. So check it out, and watch out where you play your cards. Keep on gaming.